And sunshine and 83 degrees tomorrow. A little bit more cloud cover, though, on Sunday with highs still warm in the low 80s. From the WBRC First Alert Weather Center, I'm Mickey Ferguson for Alabama's Morning News.
And right now it is 45 degrees at Birmingham's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 105.5 WERC. Welcome back into Alabama's Morning News. My name is John Mounts. I'm filling in for JT today. And if you have a situation where you are considering what you need to do towards the end of life or to deal with your assets and make sure that you keep as much of them as you can and you pass them on to your kids without losing a lot of them to taxes or other things, you need something called a trust. Joining us to explain what a trust is and what you need to know about these is Aaron Miller. He's an attorney and an expert on elder care. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, John.
So there's a lot of different kinds of trusts, and there's a lot of different reasons why you would have them. But let's go into the basics on this. Why does somebody need a trust and not a will?
Well, a trust is basically a legal agreement between three parties. You've got the person that creates the trust, the person that sets up the trust, and sets the rules up of the trust, and the beneficiary of the trust. And what a typical revocable living trust does is a trust you create during your lifetime, and it helps you avoid probate. Helps you avoid going through the cost and expense of probate. It also can help avoid guardianship or conservatorship as well.
And I imagine it's also helpful if you have, let's suppose you have a large asset. Let's suppose your family has a farm of maybe, say, 380 acres or something like that, and it's been in the family forever, and you know that at some point you're going to pass on. You've got some kids, but there's a problem because, of course, this is a taxable asset, right? So if you just straight up will it to them, then you've got estate tax and that sort of thing. So is a trust a good way to handle passing something from one generation to the next?
Yeah, trust is a great way to handle that. It helps make sure that things go as smoothly as possible. You may or may not have tax implications depending on what the total value of your estate is and what the estate tax limit is currently. But it really helps make things as smooth as possible. I say, a will plan is kind of like, you remember those Yugos back in the 80s or 90s? It was really a cheap car. And then you have a Mercedes. A Mercedes and a Yugo will both get you down the road. The question is, how many bumps are you going to feel along the way? And a trust is going to make things as smooth as possible.
So the trust has air conditioning, whereas the Yugo didn't.
There you go.
So
exactly.
When you have a trust like this and you put the assets into the trust, does the parent who is the primary trustee? Who's the main person who's driving this Mercedes?
Well, when you set up a trust, it's typically going to be the people with the assets. Typically, it's going to be mom and dad. They're going to be the trustees of the trust. They're going to be in charge of the trust. So that way they can run the assets and the things in the trust just like they always did. Now, one of the things that a typical revocable living trust doesn't do, though, is if mom and dad need long-term care, a typical revocable living trust isn't going to help with that. You need a special asset protection trust that will help protect that. So if you've got that piece of property that's been in the family for generations and you're concerned about mom or dad needing a nursing home, they need to look into that special asset protection trust.
Because one of the things, especially when it comes to receiving things like Medicaid and things like that, is what your assets are, what you have in the way of resources, and if it appears that you have a lot of money, a lot of stuff, then you could potentially deplete all of that in your later years, because they say it's the most expensive time of your life is the last 1 year especially.
Absolutely. It's one of the things that I see how my clients deplete their assets the fastest is they don't anticipate needing long-term care. And they have to go into a nursing home, go into assisted living, and they could really destroy the things that they've built up, they've worked for so hard throughout their life. And so there's different rules for what's accountable asset, what's not accountable asset, but what a special asset protection Medicaid trust can do is help convert some of your accountable assets to non-countable so that they're not attributed to you when you go to try for Medicaid benefits.
Aaron Miller, one more question. Where do people need to go if they're interested in getting one of these trusts? I mean, do they just open up the Yellow Pages aren't a thing. They open up Google and they type in trust. Where should people go to find out more information?
Yeah, what they really need to find is a qualified elder law attorney. A typical estate planning attorney isn't going to be well versed in all the ins and outs of Medicaid law or VA law if they're a veteran. They need to find an attorney that understands those rules so they can go to Lawyers with Purposes, one group, National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys is another group, and they can find people who are specifically geared towards that.
Aaron Miller, thank you so much for joining me this morning on Alabama's Morning News.
How will your business hold up in the coming recession? You can't control the economy, but you can prepare for success by ensuring you have the right HR solution to limit liability and get peak performance from your satisfied staff. Human Resources can protect you from unnecessary risks and improve your bottom line. But how can you afford it? HR managers can cost $80,000 per year. Introducing Bambi, where you can get dedicated HR support starting at $99 per month. Your Bambi HR manager is available by phone, email, and real-time chat so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations and team members reach peak performance. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot,